LG has been making a lot of awesome smartphones in the past few years, but every one of them seemed to miss the mark somewhere. In 2015, LG has released the LG G4, a plastic smartphone in a market full of metal. But with tricks up its sleeve in battery, display, and camera, did LG make the best smartphone so far in 2015? I'm Ben with iTech Triad, and this is our video review of the LG G4. So let's kick things off with a couple of notes. I used the LG G4 on a Korean unit using AT&T's network for a few weeks, and this is also the plastic model, so I can't really make comments yet on the leather material. However, we will be revisiting the LG G4 when we can get our hands on a leather model. In this review, the shots of a leather G4 are simply a debrand skin. That said, let's talk hardware. The LG G4 is a plastic flagship in a time where almost every other flagship is made at least somewhat of metal. So how does it stack up? Fairly well, actually. The build on the LG G4 is great. Even the fully plastic model I have feels wonderful in the hand, and it looks pretty good as well. Now, just like previous iterations, LG's signature rear-mounted buttons have made a return, and this time they're better than they ever have been. The buttons just feel natural to use since that's exactly where your hand is going to lie anyway. Now, the phone is slightly larger than it was in years past, but it still fits well in the hand, and the size compares to the Galaxy S6 with it only being slightly larger. Now, in between those bezels is a 5.5-inch IPS display with a Quad HD resolution. Now, without a doubt, this is one of the best looking displays I've ever seen on a smartphone. It has accurate colors, good viewing angles, and a relatively good amount of brightness. It's not quite as bright as the Galaxy S6, but it's more than enough for me. Between those two phones, it's a toss-up to see which one is the best. Now, all of that is thanks to LG incorporating what they call a quantum display, which actually allows more light and more accurate light through the display. Now, instead of saturating the colors like we see on their competition, LG decided to go another route by keeping things as accurate as possible, and I'm glad they did. Now, that new display is also easier on the battery. The LG G4 packs a 3000 mAh battery under its removable back, and it is definitely the best battery in a flagship smartphone released this year. Now, Samsung's Galaxy S6 and HTC's One M9 can only dream of getting battery life as good as the G4. Now, since I was using a Korean unit for this review, I can't exactly say how good the battery life will be on a US unit, but I can say that if things are this good on a Korean unoptimized unit, I can only imagine how good they'll be on a properly optimized unit. Now, one of the things about the battery that most users will enjoy is that unlike most of today's flagships, it's still removable. Micro SD card support is also still here, and that's kind of a dying breed in today's smartphones, so I'm glad to see that LG kept it around for their latest flagship. As far as the software goes, the LG G4 brings Android 5.1 out of the box with their own UI on top. Now, that UI looks nearly identical to previous iterations, such as what we saw on the LG G3, but with some minor improvements. Colors have been slightly changed to match Android Lollipop, and the software has been trimmed down just a little bit. Now, the software is pleasing to use, but the real story is just how smooth it is. For a skin as heavy as LG's, I never ever would have guessed that it could be as smooth as it has been for as long as it has been. LG has definitely nailed performance this time, and that's thanks in part to the Snapdragon 808 processor under the hood. Now, that powerful processor not only keeps things buttery smooth, but it also doesn't heat up that much, and it gives me plenty of power for even the most intense games and a lot of multitasking. Now, here's the fun part, the camera. LG has been doing a very good job with their cameras recently in the G series, but this time they absolutely knocked it out of the park. The 16 megapixel shooter on the back of the G4 is absolutely phenomenal. Pictures are crisp with accurate colors, good processing, and everything else you could want from a good smartphone camera. The real fun, however, is in the software for that camera. Now, of course, you have a fully automatic mode, which on its own takes stunning images. But you also have a fully manual mode, which allows you to change quite literally every setting you might need to adjust. From the white balance to the ISO to even the shutter speed, it's all here and it works great. The G4 camera in manual mode can take shots that you'll be amazed with. Some of the shots I took in manual mode don't even look like they were taken with a smartphone. For instance, take a look at this shot I took at Niagara Falls. With some adjustments to the shutter speed, ISO, and white balance, I was able to take a stunning shot. The best part is, thanks to OIS, I didn't even need to use a tripod to keep things steady. Now unfortunately, nothing's perfect, and one place that the LG G4's camera suffers just a little bit is in the video department. Now it shoots 4K video and the video is always crisp, but when you're walking, the camera seems to overcompensate in the OIS for movement and it creates a very sickening feeling. Now another issue is in the sound quality. Depending on where you use it and the situation, the sound can be a bit tinny. All of that said, the camera on the LG G4 is easily one of the most impressive features in my opinion. In my opinion, it's actually one of the best cameras on a smartphone today, if not the best. Now that's not just because of the specs or the resolution, but simply it's a very good camera with very useful features. So, should you buy the LG G4? Without hesitation,
do it! Just do it!
If you're on the market for a new Android smartphone, there is absolutely nothing I can say about the LG G4 that would make you not want to buy it. Now it's a great phone in every way, and that's going to go ahead and wrap up our review. If you want to learn a little bit more about the phone and check out our full-size camera samples, take a look at our written review, which is linked down in the description. Now if you want to see more of our ongoing LG G4 coverage, subscribe to the channel so you can be among the first to check it out. Also be sure to follow us across social media at iTechTriad for the latest and greatest tech news. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up as it helps us out a lot, and as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.